Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Gravedigger Shift here at the conference. We're the first ones up and getting everything ready for everybody else. My name is Ira Cohn, and I'll be moderating this panel of a very eclectic group of people from across the telecom industry. We even have someone out in Seattle, sleepless in Seattle right now because it's 12:30 in the morning in Seattle, joining us. So it's a very eclectic group. We're talking today about digital transformation and how the mobile industry has brought it in, or how it's working with the different changes going on today in the world. For me, this is when they first presented this topic to me, it was slightly curious to me, because if you think about it, the mobile industry has really been at the forefront of digital transformation. I mean, we live our lives today digitally in a large part because of the device that's in our hand. And we've learned to do so many different things, whether it's using apps or to manage our life digitally because of the mobile device. Some of us in the room are little OGs, and we've been around in the industry before, and we remember when that device was a dumb device, and it was only talking on the phone first, and then you could sort of send text messages to people in your network or people who have the same phone, because you couldn't send between different phone manufacturers. So at one time it was a dumb device, but over the years it's developed. And part of, the TikTok generation, the Instagram generation, none of that would have happened without a mobile device. So everything we talk about digital transformation in terms of our everyday lives, it's obviously that the mobile industry has been at the forefront of that. But yet today, as there are many, many new things happening, whether it's 6G that they're talking about or AI, are we doing enough to embrace these new technologies in our business? I think that's basically the question that we're going to be talking about today. And as I said, it's a very eclectic group, but I'm going to start off not talking anything at all. And I warned you guys that there's going to be some curveballs thrown in. So I'm going to start with you, Mahmoud. And the question will be, and don't answer it yet, because I'm going to give you an example so that you understand the question. And this is something that I use when I interview people for jobs. And I say to them, tell me something about you that I wouldn't know if I read your LinkedIn profile or your CV. Something that's not on there that you're passionate about, and how this helps you do your job better. So instead of you telling me about what you do, tell me about that thing that you do or the thing that you're interested in. It could be a hobby. I like to collect turtles, or I like to hang glide, or I like to eat truffles, whatever it is that you're passionate about, and how that makes you do your job better. And I'll give you an example, okay? I like fine wine. I like good wines, and I go to wineries. I visit wineries, boutique wineries, and I learn from the process of going to a winery about the detail involved, that every little part of what I do to create that fine wine is calculated. The soil that I'm planting it in, the varietal that I'm using, the direction of the sun. So tell us something about you that we don't know about. I read your. If you say something on the LinkedIn, I'm gonna call you out because I read your LinkedIn profile. Something not on the LinkedIn profile.
Can I give an advice to him? Ask before the salary, because this is an interview.
You really want to know, right?
Really want to know. We all want to know. Everybody here in the audience, and Seema in Seattle wants to know. Seema in Seattle, it's another name for a movie. Go ahead.
So nothing dodgy. I'm just a fanatic of a soccer team. And I have my season ticket, and I go cheering every weekend in the stadium with all the fans, etc. But the hard way,
Marseille?
Yes. No, you said it right.
In Marseille.
Edwin, don't insult me like that, please.
Well, that must be a very intense experience.
It is.
So how does that make you better at your job?
Yeah, I'm coming to it. It's about the passion and the collective energy. The way you see a stadium capable of turning the energy of a match, turning the result of a match by behaving all the same at the same moment with the same energy, sending that energy on the pitch to the players and changing the result and the future of the match. That is something fascinating to me. That is something which is really every time surprising to me. And it's a matter of collective effort. It's not because you have 60,000 people in the stadium. You have some stadiums in England, for instance, where you have more people than that, but you don't have that collective energy, that passion at the same time. So it's all about being collective and doing the right things all together at the same time.
So obviously that's why you're in the telecom industry, to be connected, right?
Yes.
So has the telecom industry been passionate about digital transformation, or have we been putting it to the side?
I think we started it, as you said, and I was in my old days in Nokia mobile phones.
Oh, me too.
So we had a tremendous way at that time to digitalize the world, and we opened even the digital era in some continents completely from scratch. We opened the possibility for people to live a completely different life, enhancing it with digital era. If you ask me today, are we leading it? Definitely no, we are not. And this is, I think, what we are struggling with. This is why we tend to be commoditized by software companies, by OTTs, etc., because we are not anymore on the edge of the wave of innovation when it comes to the digital era.
Something about you that we don't know. I know everything about you, so.
Yeah, sure. That's nice to know. Well, something.
Not creepy, I was just doing my homework.
Thank you. First of all, thank you, Ida. That it's a great panel, an energetic one, an electric one, I would say. So thanks for having me here. Something that you might want to know about me is that I trade in currencies. I see the fluctuations and the market dynamics of how the market moves. And it helps us to also be alert of what can happen and how the market can have a 360 kind of a change, even with a single news. So that keeps my passion also going and keeping me on the toes of how to track the market. And yeah, I mean, to continue on that question that you asked, how does this help me in my current job or current profile, is same like the trading profile, keeps me also alerted as to it's so difficult to even predict the future. So in that case, you have to make sure what could be your short-lived gains or the midterm gains and the long-term gains from this kind of a dynamic market, which changes every now and then. Keeping in mind that this whole AI thing or AI boom has come in, how has the traditional services been affected? Or we have been seeing the decline in the revenues coming from the traditional, let's say, Godfather SMS messaging business. But nevertheless, it's still being strong enough and standing there as a backbone. So all in all, I think it makes us more agile and more the need for becoming more and more robust in this market.
And do you think that the industry has been adapts quickly enough for changing consumer preferences? Because that's been one of the critiques of this industry, that we don't move quickly enough for customers. Customers want TikTok and they want whatever it is. And we, the mobile industry is a very, very big ship. And to make it move a little bit, it takes a long time, right? It's not a small boat like it used to be. So do you think that we've moved quickly enough to adapt to changing consumer preferences?
Well, I feel there has
By the way, these are questions that you do know about, so these were here.
Thanks. So I think there has been a certain lag in adoption of the digital transformation in our telecom industry. That is the reason I think we are seeing also the decline in the revenues that are happening. And moreover, I believe that the focus should be on what is the exact need of the end users and the consumers. And then once we know what the problem is, that is the time when we will be able to strive for the solutions, to derive the solutions for that problem. So unless and until we are not knowing about what exactly is the need, and it can be not just a technological adoption leading to a transition or a innovation, but actually knowing the utility behind. So we at Viber, we believe that for most of you might be knowing, Viber is the world's most popular communications app, or rather the utility app in the world. And we believe that rather than being super fashionable, it is more important that we need to cater the utility of the end users. So how do we live with them along with their lives? Because now, like you mentioned, that the phone has literally becoming a digital companion of ours. So in everything that we do, we need the phone. So how does Viber help the end users communicate and interact better? So talking about the adoption, I think we still need to make sure that the way that we are moving, the pace that we are moving of the digital transformation is what we need to catch up with. Because people are getting probably overwhelmed or not sure as to which direction is the market moving, because there are so many technological advancements, and the pace at which it's moving, the speed, is what they have to catch up. So that is where I think we need to build the knowledge gap and bridge that knowledge gap so that people are able to adopt this change. Because ultimately change brings in stress or uncertainty about the future. So to
But
calm it down.
some people will claim that OTT applications like Viber or WhatsApp or whatever have affected the mobile industry not in a good way, because it's affected the traditional revenue channels that we've had, and the mobile industry hasn't managed to figure out a way to combat against them. Do you see that as a threat?
Well, I'd say that the actual culprit is not about the messaging apps coming into the picture, is because the OTT brands or the big techno companies are looking for alternatives for the very reason that the cost in messaging or in voice have been skyrocketing thanks to the rise in the rates from the MNOs. So that is where it's compelling to go to the alternatives. So that's where
Rob,
we are.
you're also involved in this sort of the world of the alternative apps. So first of all, I'm asking you the same question, and then maybe you can comment about the alternative apps and how they're affecting the industry and whether that's a threat. So.
Yes. First of all, something that you don't know about me, and I like to write. I like to write novels, and I like to write poems.
Ooh, what type of novels?
It's more like
Romance novels.
Thrillers and this kind of things.
Sorry?
Thrillers and this kind of things. Adventures and and these kind of things. But the reason I write is because it's something completely different what I do every day, and it makes me think of other things. And one of the reasons is what I've been thinking of is how powerful the imagination is. Having a blank white paper and getting some word, and you look at it afterwards and see, have I written this? It's amazing sometimes. So that's what I learned, that your imagination can really move things.
But isn't that scary when you're faced with that blank white paper?
Yeah, it is. It's really scary, but it's really satisfied when you.
So what's scary to me is the mobile industry. Basically, right now, to me, is a blank white paper.
Yeah.
And we're trying to figure out what to put on it for the future. Mm-hmm. That's what's scary to me.
Yeah, that's true. And regarding the other question you had, I believe that everything is about data nowadays. You need to. I mean, the mobile industry has to figure out a way to use all data from software companies and get closer to the enterprises to minimize the gap for creating value to the customers. And the customer value is different depending on what kind of customer you're talking about. If you're talking about end customer, there is one customer value with the possibility to engage. If you talk about the enterprises, there's another customer value depending on how to make it more easy for the data to flow between different kinds of systems. Yeah.
Seema, we didn't forget about you over in Seattle, so I hope you are still not sleepless. So, same question to you. Tell us something about yourself that we don't know. And what do you think about these alternative channels and how they're affecting the industry? Seema works for Microsoft in their collaborative communication section, so that's basically the team section. So something about you, Seema.
Thanks, Arya. Thank you for having me, first of all. One thing that I can say about myself is that I love to read up and explore about human history and anthropology for how humans have evolved, and going into the user psychology sometimes, why people buy certain things and what helps them make that purchase. And how it helps me in my day-to-day is I love to first of all think about the user perspective before I think about the business objective. So if you want to make more money as business, you want to get more customers. If you want to get more customers, you want to be able to provide more value. So it all comes together, and that's how I like to think about whenever I think about any product, new solution. I work for Microsoft Teams, and it's my bread and butter to think about expanding the domain and the user base that we have for Microsoft Teams, right? So when I think about the investment in digital technologies, I want to pick you up on something that Ritu mentioned. Keeping toes on predictability. Now, again, I want to think from the user perspective first. So just for example's sake, Office 365, Microsoft Office 365 reached first 100 million users in 2017. It took a long time. And ChatGPT reached first 100 million users in just 2 months. Right? So even though the technologies itself, the other companies, enterprises may not be evolving at the fast pace as we think they should be, but consumers are. They are going ahead and adopting this new digital waves that we are on right now.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to let the last two gentlemen on the panel tell us about their passions. I think I can guess Diego's, but go ahead.
Thank you for the question. So let me say that I have a lot of passion, no? Of course. I was thinking about the stadium, no? I want to talk
You're
just
Italian, of course you're
I know.
passionate about lots of things.
No, I want to just share my idea about the technology, and I'm very passionate.
Passionate about first.
Yeah, I'm passionate about everything. Technology, music, soccer. I'm very open to, I'm very curious. And that is my, let me say, main aspect of my life. But at the same time, so I want to share with you what I think, because I was just reflecting what you're saying, no? Now the technology help us a lot. We are saving lots of time. When I go everywhere just to park a car, I pay with my phone, or I try to find the way and in the street, I try on Google Maps. But I watched 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, a movie, Castaway. You remember Castaway? This guy landed in the island without anything. He was not able to do nothing. No open coconut, not fire, nothing. So what do you mean? That today, most probably the technology helping us, but at the same time are reducing our creativity.
This actually was one of the questions I was going to ask the panel. If you're stuck on a desert island in 10 years,
Oh yeah?
with nothing, you're
Nothing.
naked. You're passionate, you're naked. But the only thing you have is your mobile phone. Put on your MacGyver hat. How are you getting off the island? The only thing you have is your phone.
First of all, I don't know if I will have a connection. At least I don't have a Starlink to be on the island. Second problem will be the battery. Most probably I will have a very it's a very good question. Most probably I will relax on the island. I will do as Tom Hanks did, making some writer on the sand to help somebody.
But we have all of this 6G technology. There's going to be satellite communication. There's going to be avatars flying around. You're going to write a sign in the sand with your phone? That's what you're going to use?
Most probably, yes. It could be a good idea.
This is the digital transformation we're talking about?
You need to find a way how to utilize this mobile
Oh, Nora,
phone.
I hope you have a better answer to that.
Thank you so much, Ira. So it's a pleasure to be here, by the way. Thank you so much. So my passion, actually, traveling the world is my passion, actually. Knowing the other countries, knowing the other cultures, and of course, every country has their own their own ways to apply everything. Like technologies like this, by the way, I'm also in love with technology. So actually, CMI is a great place to utilize that, actually. So currently, so when you go other countries, you see that different technologies and transformations. So it really makes you think that how it works. So when you ask that question, you start thinking that how it is happening, what is the contribution behind, and what are the stakeholders of this contribution. So when we look at the industries, so there are now interesting technologies, transformations and automations. All factories now transforming themselves with their 5G technologies, and all countries one day they will be ready for this technologies, definitely, because it is it's coming. So that's why I'm thinking that we are questioning how it works, and you try to learn something. So when your company helps this, and you grow yourself within the industry and all the information. So this is really interesting thing for me. That's what I think. Yeah.
So with all these, you raised the issue of technologies, which was obviously one of the things we were supposed to talk about, which we haven't yet.
Yeah.
Except for the using the phone to draw a sign in the sand. That's a new technology for me, the new app. But 6G, 5G, 7, I heard 7G a couple of months ago, AI, all these new technologies. Do you think that the industry is moving forward quickly enough? Because I know someone just asked me about this, and I said most networks haven't really implemented 5G properly, right?
Well,
so they haven't realized their investment in 5G. So how many are going to go now and invest 6G or whatever?
Well,
after
6G,
that?
exactly. So actually, 5G is on the table right now in many countries for sure. So because it's coming, so countries are getting prepared for that. But of course, there will be big challenge. So if we consider that millions of devices in 1 square kilometer, so this will create huge traffic. And of course, there will be difficulties as well. So how are we gonna control these traffic? So this is also another question mark. Actually, China is a great example for this. So for example, 5G is in use in many areas, like rural areas, education, and also automation on production and factories. So I'm happy to say that China Mobile has a great contribution to that with millions of 5G base stations, not only limited to China, but also Europe as well. So China Mobile is providing services and also helping other providers to be prepared for. So that's what I can say. 5G is growing, but there are challenges, and it depends on many challenges like commercial and know-how challenge. But as long as there is growth, at least one, as long as there is capabilities, and it will be definitely on the picture. And 6G and the next generation, definitely it will come as well. But 5G, it should be ready for at least the biggest portion of the world, I think.
So Mahmoud, you're on that desert island. What are you doing?
I wanted to ask you a question. You start talking about 5G, 6G, 7G, and I think this is our problem today. For what? I mean, I'm sorry to ask the question so bluntly to our industry.
I love that actually.
But for what?
You can answer to this
You're asking
question.
the wrong person. So
Just the rest of the question is, our problem is that our value in the past was coming from the fact that we were following the usage. Okay, we were innovating on use cases because there were a demand or creativity on certain use cases. And our problem was struggling with technology to cope with those use cases. And we built very strong monsters of technology within our industry. And those monsters took the power. And I'm not blaming anyone. Technical teams are great, and without them we cannot survive, just to make it clear. But now the innovation is coming mainly from the technology. And I want to have more speed. I want to have more this, more that. But it's all about technology. And we forget, from my point of view now, to ask ourselves, but for what? And the struggle of 5G is exactly that one. Okay, we are 5G ready. And we start talking about 6G, but no one is adopting 5G, with some exceptions. Why? Because there's no use case behind it. If there's no use case, there's no value behind it. But the value is coming from software companies now because they are creating the apps, following the users, what is needed, Viber, Microsoft, etc. What's needed from the users?
I have a feeling Diego doesn't agree with you.
Just now, before I was joking, but just because I was talking about the stadium, why? In Italy and Europe, in any case, there is a lot of investment in 5G. No, in Italy, we receive a lot of funds to implement the 5G. Just to give you an example, when you are in the stadium and there is a concert, you need to have a lots of antenna because, as you say, there is a very lots amount of people that are there. But you know why? Because the hubs want to, because the star want that I'm in the concert and I go on the Facebook or Instagram and I'm able to go online, send the picture. So this is the game. So the 5G is supporting the OTTs. So I don't know if I was clear in my, so most probably we are not able to feel like a subscriber, the 5G. For us, 4G, 5G, Wi-Fi is okay. But if you think about this scenario where you're in the stadium, there is lots of people, for the star, it's important that you make an advertisement for him through your phone. I remember there was an advertisement of Coca-Cola some times ago where you put the name. It was very, very amazing, this idea. They put some sentence on the can, and you can post the picture of this can on your Facebook. So they're using Facebook as a channel for free. So at the end, maybe it's correct here, what you're saying, that we are doing everything for the OTTs yet.
So isn't the use case for 5G the increasing data demand of consumers? I mean, that's the use case, right? Lots of data
Yeah.
all over the place. Simo, you want
May
to
I
say?
just chime in on that? Extending on this, the use cases that you all mentioned about just, end user being in a concert, being at a beach, uploading high data consumption. The other side of the house as well, where if we look at, 5G, 6G, moving on, there will be higher speed, there will be lower latency. We know all of that. Like that's going to grow, and that's going to be the progression that we already see in for our upcoming future. There is another set of use cases as well that we are also catching up on a nerve for emerging. So for example, automated driving, we could not think of it because of the lack of technology that we used to have before, and now we are able to go and implement something like that. Or if you think about healthcare, I was reading up on, there was a remote surgery conducted with ultra high HD video conferencing software between Verizon and I think it was Ericsson that they partnered up, and it was conducted in a remote setting only because it was 5G. Or if you think about like Microsoft Teams app, we are able to live translate between two different non-English speaking candidates, like someone speaking Korean, someone speaking Mandarin, and they can communicate to each other because only there's live translation happening at a fast pace and speed that they can actually communicate and collaborate with each other. And all of those use cases are actually happening as a result of this evolution of high data speed and low latency that we are seeing today.
Mahmoud, you wanted to...
Yeah, obviously, we know these use cases. We have seen them several times in marketing shows. My point is not that 5G is not needed. 5G is needed, and we will cope with the use cases later on. My point is more than in the telecom industry, to extract the value, we need to come back to our fundamentals and start again thinking about the users and what are the creativity use cases we can create around the users more than create around the technology. But yes, definitely 5G is a great thing, and it will come in a massive way in the coming years.
Just to understand, I fully agree with you that Diego, I think we're the only ones who aren't product people. We're actually sales and marketing people. So as a marketing person, I always look what's the market requirement, what's the consumer demand, and then we'll go find the technology to solve that. I think that we've fallen in love with technologies, which is why we're trying to figure out now how we're going to implement technologies without first thinking about how the user is going to use it and what benefits does it bring to our customers, and therefore we have to go find the technology solution. I think, Rob, you're involved in that, right? Finding technology solutions for how consumers are going to use it, monetizing networks to do that?
Yes, I'm thinking of it like you're discussing it for customer engagement in this case. But there are actually, you have to think of it, at least I do, that when you're creating customer value in the mobile industry, the customer value for enterprises is to have everything seamless. I mean, for instance, if you manage to have a message where you actually can buy a product directly in the message, that's just one small part of it. The bigger part, if you're going to create value for the enterprise, is to have this order going into the back to the web shop, from the web shop going to the business system, and to bookkeep it, so everything is automatic. If you can offer that to the telcos, then you close the gap to have a seamless experience for the enterprise. Still, you have the same kind of experience for the end customer, but you have to create more functions and more value in order for the enterprises to get to have them more, to close the gap for them and also get closer to them when you offer them new kind of services.
Ritu, I'd love to hear your solution for getting off the desert island.
Well, at the desert, firstly, I would want to see which year I am in, because if I am in 2020 or 2030, that depends. But yeah, SOS is the first thing that I would want to do it, because that's definitely going to work.
So no one's using their phone.
Yes, but talking about Viber has user penetration in more than 190 countries. So I'm definitely going to be in one of those 190 countries. And I agree with Rod, actually, that the enterprises are looking for the seamless communication and the seamless technology. And that is the reason I think at Viber, we look at how the telecom companies are connecting with the telcos, with OTT providers like us, and how do we get to the lives of the users by enhancing their user experience, having AI-driven communications with them, and mainly making their lives even easier. Because ultimately, I feel that these innovations are not just because of the technology. The reason behind the innovation is actually the people. Because the technology can be just the what behind the innovation, but actually the reason behind or the why behind is the people, to make our lives better for this generation and the next generation.
Diego. So Diego has a very interesting job, right? The new job title. He used to be just sales, which is boring, but now he's sales for special projects, right? So it's like not boring all of a sudden.
No, that's a good question, because we realize in Sparkle that, as we said, we need to understand better the needs of the customer. And so we have our product management team that develop our standard service, but we realize that sometimes, as she said, the customer can give you the idea to go ahead, no?
Tell us about some of these unique ideas that you're working on.
For example, now I was sharing just yesterday with some of our colleagues some treat and can be opportunity, the eSIM for travelers. That is very strange. Imagine that, as I told you yesterday, 1 month ago, I was in the WAS, the GSMA. That is an event dedicated to the roaming, while one of the hosts sponsored the eSIM. Now, we need to understand, because which is the problem of this topic and why Sparkle is working, let me say, in the correct way. Because first of all, we need to shift because today is only data driven, no? Okay? And we are implementing now IoT with all protocol able to support. But the people, when you go abroad, they want to use only data. And now with IoT, you can have access to local tariffs that can be damaged, the roaming for the mobile operator. So now we need to understand how can treat, because the problem is that the IoT protocol is dedicated for the machine to machine, where the rules are totally different from the human behavior. And we need to, what happens the most of the times, that before you develop the idea and after the government, regulatory try to regulate that, and then become a problem, because maybe you can do something after that the phenomena is a big explosion. And the funny part of the story that everybody can be an enabler. Also, my grandmother can buy a company, can create a website via API. You can integrate it with our platform, and we can have access to multiple IMSI sponsor network. So now it's important, and that's why we have special projects. When you have a customer, understand their needs, build a correct product that can be also in line with the law, and we be ready to, let me say, don't ruin the market also for the roaming. So we are in the middle of transition. Of course, a special project, again, why? Several and different protocols are included, like SMD+, eSIM, multiple sponsor network, API integration. You can help the enabler to do it in the correct way. So we need to have a specific skill, a specific knowledge to do it. But that's one of the projects I work on it. I'm very proud to do it. But we need to be very, very careful to understand how we can manage this new solution in the market.
So, Sima, I wanted to ask you the desert island question. I know that there's Microsoft everywhere, all over the world, so probably you'll find a Microsoft office there. But if you had to use your digital device in your hand, how are you getting out of a sticky situation?
I mean, if the island is Hawaii, I might just stay there for a while. Um, uh, I mean, yeah, I mean, I would just also use satellite connection to make a connection and then alert everyone I'm here. If not able to make a connection, I might just record some videos and just say my last words and messages. And then at the end of it, if the battery drains out, it's just a break in my hand, sadly.
I just want to say we're almost done with our time, and we barely mentioned AI in a panel at this conference, which is a new first, I think. We also didn't mention the word RCS at all, so it's also a new first. But I wanted to get back to you, AI. I know that China Mobile is very involved in figuring out ways to incorporate AI into their business. How do you... I was at a telecom panel last week where every single panel was AI. I was at a call center, contact center event. Every single booth had the words AI in the title. It's obviously something that we all have heard about, thought about, and I think to me it sounds like a big bubble. To me, it's a big bubble. Because going back to you, what value, what benefit does it bring to the end user? So yes, we all have to tell our boards how we're using AI now because they're going to ask us, so what are we doing about AI? 5 years ago, they were saying, what are we doing about RCS? What are we doing about AI? What are we doing about AI? But is there real value that we can interpret for consumers for customer benefits?
Exactly. So actually, all solution has one aim, right? So to provide the service to the customer. So this is the main intention for every kind of solutions, I think. So when we look at AI solutions, so if we consider actually not only AI, but also other solutions like IoT solutions, 5G, and in combination with AI. So if there were any layers, let's say, in this ecosystem, so let's say AI would be maybe bottom line because, all solution and all system depends on something smart. Because in order to proceed your business, in order to proceed your operations perfectly and smoothly, there must be something that is supporting behind. So that's why AI think AI seem to be really important in this picture. So AI supports the other solutions, and after that, the 5G and IoT combination will work perfectly. So imagine that one big factory, let's say, there's supposed to be smooth production. So in order to proceed that production, so there will be a smooth process, and at the middle of that, so AI will support everything. And if there is a requirement from customer side, it should be well reserved in the database systems, and AI should comment on that and proceed with other actions. So that's what I think. So this is how it works in the business process as well. So that's what I think about this.
Well, I think one of the problems that I have with AI is that we tend to lump together the different types of what it is. So there's something called generative AI, where the AI generates something without being asked. And then there's predictive AI, where it takes the data that's available to it and based on that gives outcomes that will be based on the previous data that has outcomes that we probably couldn't figure out on its own. I was involved with a healthcare startup, and it was doing predictive AI for outcomes in the emergency room or in the intensive care unit, which has real benefits for the lives of people. But by the way, the main reason for it was to save the hospital's money. It wasn't necessarily to save people's lives. So, and I use that as an example about, okay, that'll save people's lives, but it's also saving money. So is that what we're trying to do in the telecom industry? We're trying to save money, maybe? Well, yes, and by the way, it'll benefit the consumers. Many times when I hear about these new technologies, it seems to me that that's the first thing we're thinking about. The board at the carriers are saying, hey, this will save us money, or this will create new income, or monetizing our channel, but does it really bring the benefits to our consumers? So I think the last thoughts from all of you will be digital transformation. Are we good at it? Is it good for us? And then one last thing from your personal kit bag. What do you listen to when you're at the gym? What sort of music?
First of all, back to
I don't go to the gym, so I don't have an answer to that. No, I do, but
First of all, back to AI. I think, especially in the career industry, we are all after cost savings. We know that VoLTE is kicking on the voice. We know that OTTs are kicking on the data, etc. So we need cost savings. Okay, we need to be more efficient, and AI would probably, for any routing, calculation, etc., AI might help for cost saving on that side. But I also see AI as a new platform and almost a new OS. You probably recall the famous battle between Symbian and Android in the old good days.
it wasn't even Android yet. It was Symbian and something else. Even. Yeah.
It started with Symbian
Microsoft,
and Microsoft and iOS and BlackBerry OS and then Android. And the winner of that battle tend to be the platform, the OS for the mobile world. So I see AI as opening a new platform for new kind of OS to build a lot of things we don't see yet on it, because at that time we did not imagine all the apps which were coming on top of the mobile OS, but it's probably the same opening and the same big opening at this time. So low-hanging fruit is probably cost saving, but later on I think we are opening a complete new world of opportunities. Back to your question on are we digital era? Are we good in digital era? We are followers for now, to be honest. I think in the telecom industry, we have been the first ones to launch it, but then now we're in the passenger seat. We need to take a bit back of the driving wheel, probably not all of it, because our friends will want to keep some of it as well.
I'm going to ask her in a second, yeah. So we didn't forget about you. We're going to ask you about AI. Don't worry.
It's just fascinating. The way I think about it is, earlier humans were learning about computer languages, right? Like C++, COBOL, I don't know, BASIC, Java, Python, we still are. And then now we have reversed the cycle here. AI, computer is learning our human languages and then interpreting it. And then I like to think of it like as a mirror of our intellect, of the data that we feed. If it's biased, the result's going to be biased. If it's not diverse, it's going to be not diverse. So I like to think of it like that. You asked the other personal question about what I like to learn. What's that?
Your playlist.
Yeah. So when I'm working out, I usually work out in a quiet setting, and I just meditate sometimes. So I like to listen to slow, mellow flute music. But other than that, I'm up for Indian upbeat music, a Punjabi music playlist, top 10 Indian charts. So that's my go-to.
Mahmoud, your playlist.
Yeah, anything which is a high speed of heartbeat.
Rock and roll, or
Yeah, not only.
Yeah, you're my generation.
Yeah, we're old.
Oh, geez. Me too.
Hi. I think with regards to all of us contributing for AI, and as Mahmoud also said about AI, how do we use it in the right way? So we at Viber, I think we have been using AI in the way that we can be, let's say, good friends with our end users, ultimately how they interact with the end users. We have innovated into the market with AI Summarizer, which summarizes because today's users are bombarded with so many social media, so many groups, notification, and Summarizer definitely helps them. And we have AI Detector, because like we mentioned about the security behind all this is also a big concern. So it brings up to the need where an AI detector would be wanting to inform the users if they're talking to the machine, to a bot, or to a human. Because ultimately, like in my native language, there is a saying which says iron cuts iron, means only iron can cut the iron, which actually means that a force can only be best confronted with another force of equal magnitude, basically. So if AI is bringing in the security threat, so we need another kind of an AI to actually combat or confront these kinds of threats. So that is where we have at Rakuten Viber about this. Plus we have the different ways that with AI, the communications can become even better. Like we have the chat bots and like the banking bots or the healthcare bots, like you mentioned about it. And we are living in the world where algorithms can diagnose better than even the doctors can. So definitely it is up to the humans, up to us as to how we design this digital transformation in the way that it can benefit the world and not the vice versa.
Your playlist?
Oh yeah, for my playlists, I work out at home, and I use the Indian aerobic music. Being an Indian, like also how Seema mentioned, we love it, and we have all sorts of kind of variety in Indian music. Talk about it, and we have it. And I also like to have a soothing yoga music.
Wow.
Talking about AI, I think that's another tool that can help us out. I think we should downplay it a little bit because it's important, but it's a tool that can really bring good things. It will take a while before we understand it. First, as someone mentioned, it's going to be cost saving, a lot of cost saving parts. Then on top of that, we're going to create new kind of value, new kind of apps and new kind of things that's really going to help us, but it will take a while, I think. Regarding the network utilization, I think, the carriers and telco is transporting data, the underlying data, and I believe that in order for them to take the next step, they need to deliver some kind of end user service, and really look at the software companies, the existing ones, to close the gap a little bit. I think that there's a lot of opportunity for the telcos there, really big opportunities. And my playlist, I listen to all kind of music. I listen to Swedish. I'm from Sweden, so I listen to Swedish songs. These kind of sad songs. But if I
Swedish sad song.
yeah, it's a special kind of mood. But if I had to choose, I would like to choose Queen and Prince.
Okay.
So that's really good music.
Our generation again.
Yeah, it is.
I want to be honest. Now, this morning what happened? Last night, my colleague is based in Miami. He sent an email because we have an internal hours in Sparkle, and I need to write an article on the project that we are working on it, but I didn't have time. I go on the chat GPT, I put some few words, some keywords, and I have the article I sent to my colleague. This is artificial intelligence. But I don't feel very good, I want to be honest. But I didn't have time. But I use it. But this is, let me say, not the correct way how can use the artificial intelligence. But I was thinking how can close the gap between, for example, people that have a language barrier. Maybe you arrive in the airport, you don't know how can go. I have my grandmother that traveled in Canada, but she knows only Italian. But I was imagining that if she will arrive in the airport and we have the screen in front, somebody that can talk immediately and translate in Italian to help her. That can be the good way how can use the
This is the same mother who built the website you told us before.
Yeah. And I think that the technology depends on us how can treat the technology, how can utilize the technology. Even the dynamite would invented to make a cave, no? But the people also use it for the war. So it's important the education, how can use the technology. That is very important. Of course, we need it because we can simplify our life, not only simplify, but can help. I want to see this as an opportunity to reduce the gap between the people that has a handicap or something like that. But we need to have education to work on it. And about the music, I play guitar, and of course Italian volare. So for one.
That was so predictable. Oh, no.
Well, thank you so much. I already give my comment about AI, so let me complete my plates, right? So as Diego, I am also playing a guitar as a professional. It was professional, not now. I mean, so I really like this sort of let's say Spanish type music, and also the instrumental music. I really like flamenco. Yes, one of them as well.
That's what you work out to, flamenco?
In the past, yes, not right now. I was playing only. I was only playing side, but I really like that music as well. So yeah, mainly instrumental music is my playlist, and also Turkish music as well.
So first of all, I want to thank our panelists for being good sports and going along with my crazy questions. But I think that it led to a more lighthearted discussion, and I think it opens everybody up. I'll maybe give some final words about digital transformation, and you're happy for anyone to challenge me about this. I think it all goes back to the printing press, frankly. Before the printing press, only rich people read, only priests had books. There was no sharing of information. People got information. A horse would ride into the town square. He would read off a proclamation, get on his horse, and go to the next town. That's how information spread. The printing press made it possible to share information. By the way, at the very beginning, it was only for the rich people, right? But eventually, books became something that were affordable. You would go to a school, you would go to a church, there would be books, there would be prayer books. Till then, no one had a prayer book. But what that exchange of information led to was that now if I'm inventing this glass, okay, and someone else is inventing the top, okay, they can collaborate on putting the top on the glass, okay? But until then, there was no collaboration in terms of invention, in terms of technology. And moving that forward, the printing press then created newspapers. It then created the entertainment business. It created writing novels and books, and it created learning music. You play music. It also means that when we created technology, the technology grows exponentially, because by adding it, 1 + 2 doesn't equal 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. It equals 10,000, because we never know. Someone mentioned before what apps we're going to be using when we make this app store available, when we make this platform available. And so for me, digital transformation is not something that we can predict. It's impossible for us to predict the future. We worked at Nokia 25 years ago. No one would have predicted the collapse of Nokia, right? It's impossible to predict how this is going to do, because by creating this information sharing, okay, someone who was born yesterday is going to have an amazing idea about a technology that we're working on today, who's going to combine it with technology from someone across the world who has a different idea. It's impossible to predict how that exponential growth will be. The reason why we talk about it is because we're in business and we have to make money, and we have to justify the fact that we make big bucks and someone pays for us to come to Berlin for conferences. So that's why we need to talk about it. But in the end, as was mentioned here, digital transformation should happen based on the needs of real human beings, of people. So if I'm stuck in a desert island, I should be able to use my phone to get off the fucking island. Sorry, well, to get off the island using the technology that we've all worked on so far. So I'll call my avatar, and I'll say, hey, avatar, I'm stuck in an island. Please pick me up here. Or the avatar will know about it already, because the avatar will know what's going on in my emotions. So that's my take on this topic. Anybody wants to challenge me, I'm happy to be challenged. In the meantime, again, thank you to the panel for being good sports. Thank you, Seema, for being sleepless in Seattle. You can go to sleep now. Thank you again. And there'll be more sessions coming up later. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.